Good evening. Hello, it's Jules Wyman here from juleswyman.com. And usually I don't have my glasses on, and I didn't realize that I still had them on. I don't really need them very much, but it has raised a question for me. If you are somebody who does videos, if you are somebody who does Facebook Lives and you wear glasses, how do you do it with that glare? How do I just look like that, which means I'm looking at you and not the camera? I'd love to know your thoughts. Just a random thing, as I'd still had my glasses on and hadn't realised that that you get that much. It's obvious, really, but hadn't realised that you get that much of a glare back. Good evening, properly. It's Jules Wyman here, as I say, and I hope that you are well and warm wherever you are. This evening, I am going to, as ever, do the usual sort of quick housekeeping at the top. If you are somebody who watches this live every week religiously, then I know that you know this, but do drop down and say hi, because it's really great to know who's here, give you a shout out, and that's fantastic. And you can also do that if you are watching on the recording as well. Obviously, I won't be able to give you a live shout out, but this wave is specially for you who's listening. That was a cross between listening and looking. Put those two words together, listening. This is just you on the recording. I haven't been drinking. This is just me getting excited about that it's been a really long day, and but a good day, even though I did lose a PowerPoint that I'd been working on for hours. But managed to find everything again. Just took me more time. But anyway, you don't need to know about that. How are you this evening? Drop down and say hi, whether you're watching this on the recording or watching this live right now, and cheers. Yeah, because it's always lovely to be able to give you a shout out. As ever, same thing with any of these on Facebook. Please make sure that you give me some emojis so that I know that it's working, but more specifically, give me those emojis when whatever we're talking about, if it's making sense and resonates. And if it doesn't make sense or it doesn't resonate and you completely disagree with everything I'm saying, which is absolutely fine, please do put a comment below. Let's have a discussion about it, because ultimately, if an emoji just goes up, whether it doesn't matter whether it's an angry or a sad or any of those faces, I'm not taking offense at it. It's my curiosity. I'd like to have a conversation because there's a potential that there's some light that your thoughts can shed on it. So please do join the conversation. Don't just sit there. Don't be a lurker in the background. Join the conversation, because it's great. And what an interesting thing to be thinking about joining in, and how sometimes we don't join in, whether it be on social media things, whether it's on Facebook Lives, when you're being invited to say hi and you're not, whether it doesn't matter what it is, but then you might be at a conference or even a social gathering, and you stop yourself from joining in, you stop yourself from commenting or sharing or giving a point of view. And mostly, or very often, that is because people are worrying about what other people think about them. So get over that this evening straight away, and by saying hi. I can see who's there. I can see, not literally see you. I know one person did actually think that meant I can see them. I really can't. So if you're in the bath enjoying this, don't worry. I haven't got that vision before my eyes, and nobody else has. You can see me, but I can't see you. I have an inkling as to who's here just by various things that keep popping up. But anyway, so as I intimated, I don't know whether you're on my mailing list or whether you are. If you're not on my mailing list, why not? You can join it by going to my website, which is juleswyman.com, and sign up for the 7 Keys of Confidence and tick the little box that says about staying on my mailing list, and you'll be on my mailing list. So I don't know whether you heard about this topic on there, or whether you've just joined because you come on every single week, or you just happen to be scrolling through your social media feed and ta-da, there I am. But the topic for this evening, which is worrying about what other people think about you, I would say it's a conversation that I have with I think in some way, shape or form, in many guises, with probably every client that I have worked with and have worked with in the past, currently am working with and have worked with in the past, which I've never stopped and calculated now as to how many, after 14 and a bit years, how many clients that's been, but it's easily got to be hundreds now, possibly thousands if I include all the workshops as well. But it is something that comes up, this fear of what other people are thinking about you, and sometimes people talk about it as they're self-conscious of being themselves, so they put on a performance, or it might be a case of that they just get so in their own heads that they don't interact. Excuse me. They don't interact or share their thoughts. Do drop down. Hello to those of you who are just joining live. Do drop down and say hi. Go on, be the first. Go on, I dare you. So what I would like to do this evening is, if it's safe for you to do so, if you've got a pen and paper, then grab one. Because there are a number of different questions that I would love to go through this evening with you. And my invitation is that obviously you can write down the question. I do apologize. But what would be lovely is if you can just jot down your answers, and as a number of you did last week on the call, which was really great, is put your answers in the comments box. Now, it's already, if we just need a few people. Here's an invitation, or here's an insight for you into human behavior. And also a behind the scenes as well. So if I'm doing an event and I've got a piece of paper for people to sign up to something on, not if I wouldn't do this, by the way, if this was a paid thing, only if it's a freebie, is I will always make sure that I've got somebody's email address, preferably 2 or 3, before the event starts. So I'll have already had that conversation with people and got them involved, because it gets the ball rolling. And once people don't like to be the first. So for those of you that are watching now and watching this live, just drop down now. I could be really mean and say, I'm not going to continue talking about this topic until you do it, but I won't do that. But just go into the comments box and just say hi. Literally, you can put a little hand wave or the 2 letters of H and I. Because once you started doing that and we start having this conversation, what that encourages other people to do is encourages other people to join in. And I see that happen every single week. And one of the things I think is so fantastic about this page is that, and all of you that are on this page that watch these either religiously or you dip in and out, is I have never, she says, touching words, I have never had to take down a comment or block somebody from being a troll or being rude or being obnoxious or mean to either to myself or to anybody else. So this is a really safe place. If you want a safe place, this is a safe place for you to be able to put your comments up. But all I'm actually asking you to do is say hi, peeps. Come on, just say hi. Just that first person, do it, and then we can see what happens. And if not, I'm just going to keep speaking anyway. So, as I said, this is about, the topic this evening is about worrying about what other people think about you. Because so many people get lost in thinking about that. They get lost in, and it doesn't even have to be if they are thinking about doing something necessarily big. It's about, thank you for the thumbs up, Donna. It doesn't have to be something big that happens. It's just, it could be even just walking into a social event, a family event. It could be, you know, all of your family that you've known for as long as you've been alive. But people do get so caught up and overthink and worry about what other people think about them, to the point that it stops them from interacting in so many different ways. But as I said, what I'm going to do this evening is I am going to invite you to interact. Hey Andy, thank you for the love, sir. I'm going to invite you to interact, and what I would love to do, hey Donna and Andy, drop down and say hi, just so we get the ball rolling in the comments. That would be ace. You've obviously got your finger on the emoji pulse. Just give us a wave in there as well. That would be awesome. Thank you. I want to go through these questions because I want to encourage you to start thinking about what's happening around this worrying about what other people are thinking about you, and also how that's affecting your life, and get nitty gritty with the specifics. As I've said, it would be wonderful if you want to share this live, but if you, or even on the recording, by the way, if you watch this on the recording, then please feel free to comment on there, because I know that, I know, of course I know, because I do it. I always come back to those comments on there as well. So I interact with them. I don't, when I get notifications, I go and have a look and interact with those as well. So if I was me and listening to this, I'd be thinking, come on, just get on with the questions. What are the questions? That's what I want to know. And I will do, but I might sneeze in a moment because I can feel one brewing. It's tingling. I thought it was going to go then. Okay. I set myself an intention before I came on this call, and weirdly, I've had the last sort of 45 minutes, I've had a flurry of emails, text messages, the phone went. I had somebody who'd been doing some work who they've just left, and it's been this whirlwind of stuff. But I'd set myself the intention that I was going to do whatever I could not to think about you guys, in the sense of worrying about what you might be thinking about me, because I've been at home all day working, so I haven't got any makeup on. All I did was put a little bit of mascara on. That's it. I haven't got anything else on. And I was like, right, I haven't done my hair. I'm just going to tie that up. I'm really going to show that I'm not worrying about what you're thinking about me. And even to the point of, I do love it when you all interact, because it gives me insights. It lets me know where you're at, and it's really helpful. And if you don't interact, then it's just me waffling on, and you've only got my viewpoint and my opinion, which I think is a one-sided coin. And it's always great to get your interaction, but I don't worry about that. I don't worry about the numbers going up and down. I don't worry about those sorts of things. And part of that is because there's a number of things that I've done which I certainly haven't got the time to go into on a live, but these questions will give you an insight as to how you can switch, how you can start to take a step back from this. So good evening to those of you who are just joining. Do drop down and say hi. So if you've got a pen and paper, then my invitation for you right now is to think about how much time, and let's just take it on a daily basis. How much time do you spend a day, or waste a day, if you want to put it that way, thinking, or more specifically guessing, about what you think other people are thinking about you? It's a convoluted question, isn't it? How much time do you spend or waste a day worrying about what others think about you? How much time? Give me some numbers. What do you think it is? Do you think it's 5 minutes? Do you think it's 5 hours? Do you think that you spend 95% of your time, and therefore however many hours you're awake, that's 95% of that? Just put some numbers in the columns below. Sorry, in the comments below even. Are the comments even working? Nobody's playing the game this evening. Anyway, how much time do you spend or waste worrying about what others think about you? My guess, based on the number of people that I've spoken to clients-wise and how often this comes up as a topic of conversation, is that most people spend way more time than they realize. And when you start to think about it, you'll probably start to get an insight just to how much time you are thinking about what others think about you. And that doesn't necessarily mean people in the room. It could be people on a Facebook Live. It could be people on social media. It could be that you've posted something on social media and then you go into, oh, what are they going to think about me? How much time do you spend? And if you are not sure, take a guess. And my guess would be probably at least double it, because we get caught so much time just thinking about what others may be thinking about you. So if you can work that out, my next invitation is for you to sit and think about now, and again, I'd love to see some numbers. I can't believe no one's going to comment all night, or not all night, but for the time that I'm on. How much energy do you think that you waste? How much energy do you think you waste? And if you were going to think about it as that when you wake up in the morning, and I know this isn't true for everybody, but let's just play with this as a kind of ballpark. That if you imagine that you've had a good night's sleep and you wake up, so you've got 100% energy, but then how much of that energy do you waste during the day thinking or worrying about what other people think about you? 10%, 30%, 100%, 50%, 60%? Where would you be, do you think? I certainly know that before I started really doing a lot of this work for myself, let alone working with clients, is that I probably was doing that, oh my gosh, I would say at least 50% of the time that I was awake. And I think I probably would have been wasting, because I think the time that I'd have been worrying on it would have been, the energy would have been sort of like spinning around. So it wouldn't have been sort of like a gentle energy, it would have been a fast energy. So my guess is I would have been spending, I don't know, I was going to say 70%, and then I heard 30 in my head. So probably about 70% of the time, 70% of my energy would have been wasted on worrying about what other people think about me. And if you think about how much time you're wasting and how much energy you're wasting, now think about how much of an impact, or more specifically, what is the impact that then has on you? What is the impact that then has on you? Does it mean that you're inefficient? Does it mean that you are not interactive with others? Does it mean that you procrastinate? Does it mean that you avoid situations? What's the impact that worrying about what other people think about you has on your life, and that amount of energy and time that you waste doing it? Because I know, again, through my own personal experiences and with clients, I know that this can have some severe impacts on people, and impact in the sense of, I know people who won't go to certain events because they're worried that they won't wear the right thing. They won't apply for job interviews because they're worried not necessarily about whether they would get the job, but they're worried about the kind of people they would be working with. So that has been more prevalent with people who are looking at jobs in their industry, so within their own department, and looking to get something else as well. So this is something that is it's prevalent there, and I think it's important for you to recognize not only the time and the energy that's being wasted, but really think about the impact that it's having. What is it stopping you from doing? What is it? How is it impacting your life? How is it impacting your behaviors? How you're showing up on a day-to-day basis? And all three of these questions need to be thought about and need to be given some time for you to reflect on and jot down any of those thoughts, any comments whatsoever that comes up with that. Let me know if this is making sense. Because one of the things that I notice around, because when people say that they say to me, you know, I'm just worried about what, and they might label, I'm getting lots of thumbs up there, whoever that was from, I didn't see, but thank you very much. It's obviously making sense. But what I often hear when people talk about, you know, they say, oh, then I just keep worrying about what other people are thinking about me. And I will often kind of frivolously ask, so how's that working out for you? And most people laugh and go, well, not good really. And I'm like, so why are you doing it then? Why are you doing it if it's not working out? If it's having a negative impact on your life, or if it's causing you to not do the things that you want to be doing, why are you still doing the behavior? Why are you engaging with that thinking? And unfortunately, something that I notice happens quite a lot is this shrug of the shoulders and kind of like, well, this resignation, for want of a better word, of, well, I've just always done that and that's who I am. And it's not. It's a behavior that you do, and I get that it's a behavior that you've done for a long period of time. It's thinking that you do, and it's thinking that's had your attention for a long period of time. You know, probably decades, my guess is. However, that doesn't mean that that is who you are, because there are so many behaviors, there's so many different types of thinking that you've had or done over your lifetime that you've changed for whatever reason. So this could be another one of those things that you could change if you wanted to. You could change this quite significantly if you really wanted to. But you've got to, without looking at the impact of the behaviors and the impact that it's having, true impact of your life, then what happens with this resignation is a resignation. It's a fixed way of seeing who you are, and it's a disempowerment of you being able to do anything differently. And you can do things differently, absolutely can do things differently, and you can think about things in a different way. I think part of the challenge around worrying about what other people think about you, excuse me, very, very itchy eye. Part of the thing of worrying about what other people think about you is, what most people don't realize is that if I'm worrying about what you think about me, then I have to go into my head. So in a conversation, for example, that means I'm not listening to what you're saying. I can hear, because it's a sensory thing, I can hear the sounds that are coming from your mouth, but I'm not really listening. I'm not engaging with you. So for me to be worrying about what other people or what you might be thinking about me, I have to disappear, and I have to disengage from that conversation and disappear into my head. So straight away there's a wall gone up, there's a barrier gone up. Then, and obviously it's not a physical one, but then what happens is I then have to be thinking, or very often what happens is people start scanning the other person. Well, why is she looking at me like that? Or why did he just look away then? Or and they start trying to read body language, and they've got no education around body language and what it means. They're just making shit up around it, quite frankly. Apologies for swearing, but they're just making shit up based on a backlog of previous experiences, which was only our perception. So it's only your perception. So I'm making this stuff up. I'm projecting it out onto the other person, assuming that because that somebody years and years ago looked at me in that way, and therefore because you're looking in a vaguely similar way, my thinking mind has matched those two things up. Somebody's finding that very funny. You match those two things up, and have assumed that that's what. So therefore, however I thought that person was behaving, it's that must be what you're thinking, and I'm now going to be worrying about that. So I've disengaged from the conversation. I've disappeared into my head, and I'm making shit up about you. And I've decided that therefore you must be thinking X about me. And then I become self-conscious. So however I then behave, I've become self-conscious about it, and oh my gosh, then she's going to think that, and oh, shouldn't do that because that's, and I'm absolutely, by this point, you may as well be stood there going meow meow meow, and it's kind of what you are doing really, because my brain is just picking out bits of words and filling in the gaps, because I've got so lost in worrying about what you're thinking about me. And then what I'm actually wanting to do is make a good impression. When you think about it, that's insane to even think that you've got the opportunity, whoever the other person is, be it an interview, be it a work colleague, be it a date, be it whatever it may be, you know, you're trying to have an intimate connection with your partner, or it may be that you are wanting to have a deep connection with your children or somebody else. You know, you're so worried about what they're thinking about you that you've actually done the complete opposite and disengaged and got lost in your own world. How is that helpful to you or to them? Get really clear on how you're doing this. So get really clear, first of all, on how much time you're wasting, how much energy you're wasting, and the impact that it's having on your life. Notice if you have got that resignation of, ugh, it's just me, this is just what I do. But then start to look at, okay, well, how am I disengaging? How am I doing that? And do the opposite. So do your best to engage with the other person. So really listen to what they're saying. And even if you have to say, I'm sorry, I missed that. Could you just say that last bit again? And listen to what they're saying. Notice how quickly that might kick in again. And I know for a lot of people that they're not aware of this during a conversation. It's usually after an event that it's like, oh my God, what did they think about me? Did they da 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 da? And then that's when the churning happens. Can you do anything about what they think about you? Can you? This is something that I found very interesting when I started to have this reflected back at me, and really started to look at the truth in this of, if I am thinking that you're thinking about me, how arrogant is that? How egotistical is that? How self-centered is it that even though we are having a conversation, you must be thinking about me? You're not thinking about what you're saying. You have to be thinking about me. But then I've got no control over what you're thinking. Oh my God, what if you're not thinking what I want you to be thinking? How controlling is that? Do you really want to be an arrogant, controlling person? Do you want to perceive yourself as, or be perceived rather, as an arrogant, controlling person? My guess is not. So if that's the case, you know, a key factor to step away from this worrying is start to really fully engage with people. Could I put any more exaggerations in there? Really fully start to engage with people. Truly engage with them. Get out of your head. And I don't mean in a drugs or alcohol way, but get out of your head and engage with that other person. Be interested, genuinely interested in them, and your conversations will shift. You'll have some really deep, amazing conversations with people when you engage, when you connect, when you get out of this and get with them. Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense. Whilst I'm just checking if there's anything else that I wanted to say. Yes, there's one last thing that I wanted to leave you with. But if you wanted to share your thoughts or a takeaway, then feel free to, even if you are watching this on the recording. Again, some funny faces went up and some likes went up then. Couldn't see who they were, but thank you. But there is one thing that I do want to leave you with this evening, and something to think about. When did you make other people's opinion of you, or other people's possible thinking actually about you, when did you make that more important than what you think about you? Now, I asked this question of somebody the other day about, you know, what's more important to you? what I think about you or what you think about you? And their initial answer was, well, what you think about me. And I said, really? Because I very much doubt I'm going to be in your life for the rest of it. And they sat and they thought about it for a while, and they were quite shocked to realize that actually what's far more important is what you think about you. Are your thoughts, is your thinking about you kind? Is it truthful? Is it honest? Is it considerate? Because my guess is, for the majority of us, it's just not. It's really not. So if you need to go back through, I'm not going to repeat all the questions again, but go back and capture this. Do this exercise of looking at how you're being both a time and an energy waster in relation to this. There's lots of emojis popping up there. I don't know who they're from, but thank you. Notice whether you have just kind of shrugged your shoulders and gone, well, this is something I do and I can't do anything about it, because that's not true. That's a disempowering thought, and that's just to do with habit. It's just not helpful. But more importantly, take some time to think about when and how are you making other people's possible thoughts about you more important than what you think about you. Because I know that what's more important for me is what I think about me. Because my forever relationship is with myself. So I want to make sure that any thinking that I'm engaging with is thinking that is kind and considerate toward me, and is also valid, because I've got a lot of thinking that's no longer valid. So I'm going to take the time to go a bit deeper with that for myself. Some more emojis coming in there, thank you. I'm just wondering what would happen if you did that too. So do let me know if you're somebody that's watching this either live or on the recording, and you have had some insights or have got questions about what I've said, and you're not thinking that you can type down below, then DM me. You can message me on here exactly the same as you do on anything on Facebook, and it is just me it goes to. There's no other admin that sees it. So message me on here. And also, I've just realized as well, I said I was going to do a question time this week, an open forum, because it's the last Monday of the month. I've just realized that. Oh well, I'll do it at the end of December. So take the time to really think about the questions so that you can step away from worrying about what other people think about you. Because I believe it was Mark Twain that said, what other people think about you is none of your business. So don't get in their business. Take a step away and do things differently and start to think kindly about yourself. And I look forward to catching up with you again there won't be one next week, mainly because it's somebody's birthday. So I'm going to do something different, I'm afraid, next week. So I haven't got your company next week. I will be back on the 9th of December. So I look forward to seeing you then. I hope you have found this evening's confidence conversation of value. It's giving you something to think about. If it has, please share it with somebody else who you know could do with learning to think kindly about themselves and to stop worrying about what other people think about you, them even. So take care, and I'll see you again on the 9th of December. Bye.